Hi, in this recording I'm going to cover Chapter 1 for IT 221 SQL. This chapter doesn't have any assignments, but I think it's important that you go over it. To get to the chapter, there's a couple of ways. One, you could do pages, and the book and other materials, and then Chapter 1 overview. Also from the home page, which are the modules, there's Chapter 1 preliminaries here. Here, if you click on it, it gives you this. It can't go to it, but if you click on the links to an external, that little thing, it'll go right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about SQL, which is, it's basic to databases. SQL is the language of all relational databases. It's part of data analysis. It's part of any kind of database work that deals with relational databases. And increasingly, even non-relational databases have an SQL interface to query them. So a couple of things about SQL. It's usually kind of divided up into multiple different languages, like DQL, data query language, DML, data manipulation language, DDL, data definition language, DCL, data control language. And we're going to deal with most of these throughout this quarter. So this talks about which chapters deal with what. All right. So I'm not going to go through a lot of that, but I think you should read it. This is an example of an SQL statement, right? So we have select last name, first name, email from person, where last name equals Smith. Select is a keyword. I have it capitalized, but SQL is not case sensitive. Last name, first name, email are columns in a table, and the from tells you which table they're from the table person, and where sets up a condition. So we're only looking for those people named Smith, where their last name is equal to Smith. It's very English-like, although it is still a programming language. Each of these commas has to be in place, no comma after the last one. It has to be single quotes, and it should end with a semicolon. All right, and as I say here, nothing gives students more problems than commas and parentheses, things that drive people crazy. So here's another thing. You can line it up however you want. So whatever makes it readable. This won't work because there's no separation between the keyword and the field name, so it gets confused. All right, I just mentioned briefly that SQL versus NoSQL. Most databases still have SQL, and SQL databases are getting more and more adapted to be able to interact with NoSQL databases. NoSQL databases can't pass the acid test. Their consistency is their biggest challenge. But they're better for capturing kind of like social media data and scraping web pages and things like that. We will not in this class talk about NoSQL, but I just wanted to mention it. Quick discussion of demand. There is a lot of demand for SQL. And again, you can look at that and look at more. Postgres is what we're going to do. Postgres is a particular product. It's open source. It has a long, rich history. It actually originated in 1986. And it comes as close as any DBMS to implementing the whole ANSI and ISO standard. ANSI is American National Standards Institute, and ISO is Institute Standard Organization, which is European. PostgreSQL is a rising star, and so we basically want to do this, and there's a couple of articles here about that. You should know the relational model. If you've had the IT 120, you should have some of this. This explains, like, here's an example of the person table. So it has, basically, it's a two-dimensional table. It has a key field, last name, first name, email, phone, date added. This is an example of a donation. It has the donation key, and then the person is only represented here as a foreign key. So this is person 6, right? and they're represented as a foreign key. These are the basic rules of relational databases. Data should be entered and edited only in one place. All data in a column should be of the same type. You should not enter lists or arrays of values. Every value should be single. Every table should be about one and only one thing. Any set of columns in a table that refers to another column or set of tables should be broken out into a new table. All of these are part of what's called normalization. So we look at some other tables. There's some tables that end up to be nothing but numbers, and that's fine. But you have to understand the relationships if you're going to query them. Okay. This is an example of an entity. This one has data types. Not all, you don't always have to put the data types there. Here's some entity relations with one-to-one relationship, one-to-many. And again, you can read these if you need to review. This is a many-to-many, which has to be resolved with a linking table. When you do a query, it's important to know that if you want to see the author with the books, you have to include the linking table. All right, so this is the part. We have two databases, and I'm going to show you how to install them again. There's another video for that, but I will also show one here. We have a community assist database, which is a fictional charity that provides one-time money assistance to people in need. And it has a lot of different tables. These are the types of grants that they provide. This is the grants application where people apply for a grant. This is the grant review where people review the grants to see whether they get them or not. This is the grant status, so say it's been reviewed, what the amount was given. These are the different statuses that they can have. This is the donation table. And at the heart of it, these are the employees, the types of employees. The actual employee table, which is just keys. The employee position, where it shows what position each employee has. This is the person table. And so there's a person address table and then a person table. And then there is a login table. This is the ERD for that, sideways to make it fit. Okay, so that community assist database is going to be used for all of the examples and all of the examples in these videos. All right. So it is the showpiece for the book. The next database is text certificate, and this is the one that all of your assignments will be based on. And it's basically a fictional online school that offers certificates in information technology, specifically in programming, web design, web development, database management. Each certificate consists of a number of courses, and each course has a specific number of credits and must be completed within the time constraint of a quarter. A student must earn a 2.0 or higher to proceed. Payment is per credit, although there are discounts for students enrolling for 15 or more credits. So there's a person table. Everybody involved, teacher, student, everybody's in the person table. And then there's a login table. There's an instructor table. Notice it's just the person key and when they're hired and their status. There is a student table, which is similar. There is a cert administration table, a status table, or instructor area table, instructional area table. That's a little confusing, and I kind of regret that. There's a table of courses, and there's a table of roster, which has a section key, course key, instructor key. This is sections. And then this is prices, and this is roster. Roster has the roster key, the section key, the student key, and the final grade for the quarter. We'll do a lot of queries on that table. So I would suggest looking through all of these to get a sense of it, and here's the ERD for that. And then we're going to use pgAdmin, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to set up the databases, and we'll do a couple of quick queries just to show how it goes. And that will be the end of chapter 1. So I have pgAdmin already loaded. There are databases on here. We will ignore them, and also ignore the fact that I have 3 different servers. You should go with the most recent server. So I'm going to use 12 here. We're going to add a couple of databases. So first database I'm going to add will be Community Assist. And we can call it Community Assist PG, as in the thing, or we could just call it Community Assist. This is all you have to do to create a database. Just give it a name and say save. So it takes it a moment to save. It's not unusual because it's actually creating a lot of different objects. So now I have Community Assist PG here. When I open it, you'll see you have casts, which is empty. You do have a couple of catalogs, which we'll look at one point. We have extensions. We have foreign language wrappers. Most of these we will ignore. Languages, which we will mostly ignore for now. And then schemas, which is important. Schemas, we have a public schema, which is the default. And this is where you find tables. And right now, there are no tables. Right, but we're going to add all of our tables. So I am going to open a query tool, and this is where we will do most of our work, this query editor. We're going to do all of our, work in this. So one of the things I'm going to do now is I am going to go to GitHub, to my address, https github.com spconger. There are links in the syllabus and elsewhere to this. I'm going to go to database schema, and I'm going to go to other scripts. And here there is Community Assist pgSQL. So I'm going to open that, and I am going to, this is the SQL script to create all the tables in the database. I'm going to go to raw, because we don't want any formatting code to do there. I'm going to do a Control A and a Control C, and I'm going to go back to pgAdmin 4, and I am going to paste this. Right, so this is all the SQL code that was in there. I'm going to run it by clicking this little execute refresh button. And notice it says the query was returned successfully. When we come over here, if we right click and refresh tables and open them, you'll now see that all of the tables are there. I'm also going to I'm going to close this query window. We don't need to save this script, so I'm not going to save it, but I'm going to open a new query. So I go up to Community Assist. I'm going to open a query tool, and I want to go through and basically just do a few selects just to show you what they're. So select, as I said, is a keyword. And the keywords are colored here. I'm going to do select star, which means select everything from business rule. And I put a semicolon there, and I will execute that, and you'll see that it has all the business rules for the database. Couple of things about, so you noticed I could widen that out, and I could widen it out more if I want. Okay. I'm going to do select star from donation. I'm not going to do every table, but it might be worth your while to do every table. Notice it says 67 rows affected. It has the donation key, the person key, the donation amount, date, and the validation, which is a UUID. It tells you the field names and it tells you the data types. I am going to just do the person key, the table. And I'm going to run this, and it gives me all the people. And notice there's 132 people involved. And you can move these around. If you really want, you can bring these in. Now for the assignments, all I want are the SQL. Notice that I've done each of these in the same window. If you highlight one thing, just one, it will do that. So if I want to go back to donation, I can select donation, that query, and run it. So you can have all your queries in here and just select the one that you want to run at any particular time. So if I were to, one more table, from grant type. And it shows me the grant types. Each grant type has a maximum and a minimum, or a one-time max and a lifetime max that can be given. All right, so I'm going to do one other thing. I'm going to also add the database for text certificate. And again, you can do this however you want. This is how it'll actually show up for the most part, but let's save it. Okay, so now we have set text certificate. I'm going to open a query tool. I'm going to go to the GitHub. I'm going to go back to other scripts. I'm going to get text certificates SQL. I'm going to make it raw. I am going to copy it. I'm going to run it or paste it, and then I will run. And now if I look at tables, so let's go to schemas. Tables, all the tables for this are there. All right, so that's the end of this recording for Chapter 1. Kind of get you started. You should read Chapter 1 to get the sense of the databases and the sense of a review of relational theory. All right.